Easy now. Papa got things making headlines.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you off, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they ain't finna change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip. Yeah, you
Welcome to the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast, powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael-Shawn I'm here with my co-host, Christopher Kidd. Make sure you follow us both up on the tweet machine. You guys know where to follow me on there, so I'm just going to continue to plug the YouTube channel, Seahawks Man-to-Man on YouTube. Make sure you go subscribe. Chris, talk to him.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206. And for our YouTube viewers, it's right there. You can see it below me. So, boom.
All right. We're coming to you. I'm about to say live. We're not live, although we're working on a live show. Updates coming soon on the live podcast. It's coming before the season starts. We got it coming. Like I said, details will come soon. Anyway, it's late Thursday night. The Seahawks just got mollywopped by the Bears 27-11 at home at Lumen Field. It was very ugly. The Seahawks at one point were down 24 points, I'm pretty sure. The starters did not score any points in like 7 drives in the first half. It's just a bad game. Just bad. Defense wasn't great. Special teams was bad. Offense was bad. Just a really bad night. And it's not even that we're overselling it right now. Like even Pete Carroll was like, yeah, we got a lot to learn from this game. All phases. Guys weren't tackling, weren't catching the ball. Weren't making kicks, weren't covering kicks. It was, Jacob Eason sailing balls all over the place in the fourth quarter. If any of you guys managed to just suffer through that final 30 minutes, it was rough there. Chris texted me like in the first half or whenever you text first second, I was like, I might turn this off.
I will I think it was in the first half. I was like, I'm not gaining anything if I turn it off. Now that I'm not going to miss out on Eason doing much. I mean, they're going up against third and fourth stringers. So at this point, what am I really learning or gaining?
No,
I just at that point, I was kind of done with the game. There was nothing to like, oh, this is going to keep me watching. Geno was done. It was bad, man. The performance was not what I expected. I don't have much words for it, man. It wasn't exciting at all.
No, not a lot of big plays. And it wasn't even like because the Bears are out there putting a bunch of all pros on the team. They had a bunch of dudes fighting to make the roster too. It was like fringe guys versus fringe guys. And Seattle's fringe guys were just not very good. I will say this. I want to open with this before we get into some of the specifics. You got to note who did not play. DK Metcalf played about 3 snaps. I think Tyler Lockett played 3 snaps.
Yeah, they both played 3. Yep.
Yeah, it was a first series. The starting offensive line did play, though. So there is that. Charles Cross, Damian Lewis, until he got hurt with the ankle sprain. Austin Blythe, the center. Gabe Jackson, veteran right guard, did play. And then Jake Kern started at right tackle. And then after a few series, Abe Lucas came in. So that you got your starting O-line there. Will Dissly played a few snaps, but like not much. And then Noah Fant played a few series as well. So you did have some of the starting offense out there, but not for very long. And then on defense, you actually had a decent amount of guys on the starting defense. You're only missing because like Al Woods played a little bit, Quentin Jefferson, Shelby Harris, Darryl Taylor, Uchenna Nwasu was in there until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, woof.
Shelby was in there, I want to say, till late second, maybe the early third because he made a play. I don't remember it, but I remember watching him make a play and hearing his name. So, but regardless.
Yeah, so those defensive starters played a little bit. Quandre and Jamal didn't play at all. Jordan Brooks didn't play at all, and then Sidney Jones did not play at all. So you had some pretty significant guys also not play on that side of the ball too. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like I don't think that the product on both sides of the ball will look the same as it did in some of these preseason games. Like I think Freddie Swain played, but outside of Freddie Swain, you didn't have DK, Tyler, Marquise Goodwin, or D. Eskridge. So that's 4 of your supposedly top 5 receivers out of the game. No Rashad Penny, no Ken Walker III. So like you got a lot of guys who are going to contribute who aren't playing. And the last question of Pete Carroll's press conference was, "Hey, Pete, are you worried just because of what the product looks like?" And he was like, "I'm not worried about how our product has looked." Pete kind of was like, I'm just kind of worried, not worried, but he was like, I just want to make sure the guys who aren't playing are ready to play when it is time. Because though he's like, there's a lot of guys who ain't playing that are going to contribute greatly to the team. And he's not wrong about that. The 4 highest paid people on the team, Jamal, Quandre, DK, and Tyler, are all not playing. So that is important. I see that there. But that's also why, like, I'm not super worried either, at least in some facets. Like, some guys just couldn't tackle. Like, Marquise Blair could not tackle today. Marquise Blair will not play a lot of snaps in the regular season. He just won't be out there. The run defense was still, like, okay, but then it didn't have Jordan Brooks out there, so I'm not really worried about that. Some of the pass rush stuff was still good. Justin Fields was under duress a lot of his snaps that he played. And what do you know? The first team defensive line was out there. So, not a lot of big plays in the passing game. One of the big ones that they did have, I think the guy in coverage is who's number 48. I don't even know who that is for the Seahawks.
Oh, a backup linebacker. I forget his name, but I know what you're talking about.
Joel DeBlanco.
Yeah.
I'm not, if he's making mistakes, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really worried about that, So there wasn't a lot to be worried about in that regard with some of the starters that were out. Like, Quandre's going to make tackles. Jamal's going to make tackles. Jordan Brooks is going to make tackles. The corners will be decent, although the corners were fine today, for the most part. I thought Michael Jackson was fine. Tariq Woolen, I think got targeted maybe once. Kobe Bryant was fine. I think Justin Coleman played, but nothing really egregious there. I actually thought the pass blocking was fine. Like, for the most part, I got to look at the 3rd and 15 that Geno took a sack on. But for the most part, I was like, oh, some of this stuff actually looks okay. I'm not ready to panic quite yet with some stuff. Special teams. Hey, man.
Either you're gonna be on the team or you're not. That's basically what Pete was saying. Hey, we gotta figure something out because it is terrible. Guys aren't where they're supposed to be. We got to move as a unit, not just one person doing their own thing, because that screws everything up. Yeah, special teams, man. It's been rough these first 2 preseason games, to say the least. But I am a little concerned about the offense and defense, just a little bit. And it's mainly because you've seen this recipe. You've seen how this is not just, it's the backups. This happens with the starters too. They take bad angles, they miss tackles. Big plays are made here and there, explosive plays. So it's a small sample size, and I get it. But deep down, I'm like, damn, this could be something that rolls over. Because guess what? The Seahawks are going to be playing starters. They're not going to be playing backups. So, we talked about it off wax. The Seahawks might have the better talent on the offensive side or the defensive side of the ball, but it comes down to matchups, right? You could have DK and Ty Lockett on the outside, but if the quarterback is unable to make certain throws, does it really matter how good your wide receivers are? It becomes now more of an issue. It's like, damn, we can't even get to the ball because our quarterback's not seeing it. He's throwing it late. But I will give credit to Geno today. The throws that he was making, they were all they were good. The guys just were dropping passes.
He had some good throws. Yeah, he had one bad throw. He missed Bo Melton over the middle. That was
okay. Yeah, that was a bad one. He also threw one behind DJ Dallas. I think it was like 3rd down. That would have probably
that was a first down.
First down. Okay, the one they threw behind DJ Dallas. But for example, that cover 2 between the corner and the safety that he threw on the left-hand side, beautiful ball. I mean, he could have let him a little bit more so Penny didn't have to turn around and catch it. But overall, I thought Geno played okay. It feels like the offensive line, the offense is like sabotaging Geno to not win the starting job. Everybody dropping passes. I'm just like, damn, can Geno catch a break? Drew's not even playing tonight, and you guys are not even giving him an opportunity to score a touchdown. Has Geno? Oh, he did score the first preseason game. He ran it in, but it's just been really rocky, I would say.
Yeah, Geno's led, I think, 11 drives, not counting the final one in the first half today. That was just 3 checkdowns to DJ. He's led 2 scoring drives and 11 drives. That's not a good number. Although to be fair to him, he led one that all Jason Myers had to do was make the kick. And
that would help.
Yeah, that would be 3. Like that's out of Geno's control. But like Geno hasn't thrown a touchdown pass, in 11 drives. That's not great. I'm with you on the worry specifically with third down. I think.
Oh yeah,
Seattle,
thank you. Yeah, that was atrocious.
let me see if I have it in front of me here. It's somewhere. They were not good today on third down on offense.
At one point, they were 1 of 11.
Yeah, that was, and I think they were 1 of 7 with Geno. They finished 4 of 19. Like that's a problem we've seen for years.
Bro, that is a Russell Westbrook shooting stat.
Yeah, that's 4 of 19 is pretty bad. Like
that's a tour date, man.
and here's the other thing to worry about. It was a little bit of everything too. It was stops. It was
penalties.
There's a sack in there, a bunch of penalties. Yeah, for some reason Charles Cross just had a bazillion false starts today. That was bad. He had a holding penalty as well. Like it was a little bit of everything on third down. Like one of those was like Charles had one on like 3rd and 1 and 3rd and goal. False starts. Like, come on, dog. Like that's you don't want to see. I like when he didn't commit a penalty, I thought he was fine. I looked at the tape, but I thought he was fine. Other than the holding call, which I got to look at. But yeah, for the most part, third down, that's where I'm like, dude, you fix the pass protection, you switch quarterbacks, and you still can't convert on third down. That was pretty. That's pretty rough, man. There was some things that like that's one of those that I don't think Tyler and DK are going to fix, or having Will Dissly. I think that the third down stuff could be legitimately rough. Now, hopefully, you're throwing to better players on third down, but it's like, I'm that's the one thing I'm like, that could be a little rough. But this is the conundrum I think we might have mentioned on the show before the preseason is like, you want to play DK and Tyler because like 60 to 70% of the damn passes are going to go to DK and Tyler this year. You have a quarterback battle, and you haven't seen Drew Lock throw any passes to Tyler or DK in a game. 0. You haven't seen Geno do it in the preseason. You see him do it in the regular season, so you kind of got a feel there. Like that's tough, man. If he's throwing like Jacob Eason threw it like 50 million times to Kevin Cassis, that's not helping you evaluate anything. Like no offense to those guys, like good for them getting that burn. They're playing in a preseason game. Jacob playing in front of his hometown for his hometown team. That's good for them as like a story. But you're talking about just for the franchise, dog. Those targets ain't helping nobody. Bo Melton got 11 targets. Now he's a draft pick, so that matters a little bit more. But like some of those need to go to DK and Tyler in the preseason. Aaron Fuller got 10 targets, all from Easton. That's a lot of targets to guys who aren't going to make the team. So like that. Yeah, that worries me a little bit. But I do want to let's talk about Geno for a second here. You touched on it a little bit. I was starting to feel bad for Geno a little bit.
No, that's what I was saying. It feels like they're self-sabotaging homie because he's giving guys opportunities to make plays, and they're not making plays. They're just making him look not good enough. I hope that makes sense.
That line, man, like, dog. That ball hit Freddie Swain in the hands.
Yeah, Freddie got to catch that. It was a great ball over the middle. Perfect. It was a great route, great ball. He just didn't finish. Like those are the plays that DK is going to make, Tyler's going to make. But in situations, maybe that play is for Freddie because things are covered up. Defense are going to key in on Ty Lockett and DK. So that's a little bit of a concern if Freddie's dropping it in preseason games, right? That's what I mean by sabotaging Geno. Like they're not giving him an opportunity to be great.
He's giving him an opportunity to stay on the field, man. They dropping. Derek I didn't get a good look at the replay on this one. Did Derek Young drop the one? So after Penny Hart's big one, goes right back that side of the field.
Yeah, he dropped it.
Dropped that. Okay, I couldn't.
Yeah, the defender got his hand in there, but you gotta be strong with your hands, and I thought he should have held on to that. It was definitely a drop. You can say, "Oh, defender got his hand in there." He did, but you got both hands on it, falling to the ground. You just got to continue. You just got to finish out the play. Derek didn't do that.
There's a drop there. Penny Hart had a drop. Somebody, I think Bo Melton might have had 2 drops.
Yeah, Bo has been dropping a lot of passes this preseason. I think he dropped 2 in the first game, and I'm pretty sure he dropped 2 or 3.
He dropped a touchdown from Eason today. I know he dropped one from Geno, and then he did drop one. He dropped a third down catch against the Steelers. I talked to Bo after the game, and he was like wasn't like down on himself, but he knew like I gotta catch the ball.
Yeah, you can't be down on yourself because that affects you how you play in the next game. You got to just move on. But at some point, you got to figure it out. Maybe get some stick 'em. You got to make the plays, baby. Especially if
Yeah,
you want to make the team because you're a 7th round pick. Like your spot is not guaranteed. And when you're not catching passes that are intended for you and they're good balls, it's tough for the team to make a case for you being on the squad, even on the practice squad. So that's just unfortunate.
yeah. So the other thing with Geno is that why drops are so problematic for a guy like him is Geno, and I said this before, and I rewatched the All 22, the coaches film of the Steelers game, and I got a pretty good view of pretty much every throw he made outside of the 3rd and 15. Uh, Geno's thing is that he can operate the offense. Like if he can go to the line, set the protection, see what the defense is doing, knows where read number 1 is, knows where read number 2 is, knows how to peel out of the pocket if you need to at that point. Like he can do all those things, but he needs everyone else to be doing their job too. Like he's probably not going to consistently overcome guys not doing their job, whether that's missing an assignment in the blocking, whether that's dropping passes, running the wrong route, whatever. Geno is just good enough to just like do what is asked and then have everyone else do their job too, not just elevate everyone else's play or overcome some poor play. So when you have guys dropping it, or if you have guys getting false starts or holding penalties, that's where Geno is really at operating from a deficit there. Like every quarterback would be, but like you give Patrick Mahomes 3rd and 17, he's gonna figure some shit out, right? Because he's that great of a player. Justin Herbert makes throw, you know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, like those guys, even Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. It's like, hey, the chips are down, but I'm gonna make a play because I'm me, I'm him. You know, and that's what the elite Russ is like that too. That's what the elite quarterbacks do. Geno's not quite there in that regard yet. If you just ask Geno, hey, bro, I need you to drop back, trust protection, make this throw, he'll throw one like he did to Freddie. But then Freddie don't catch it, then he's not in rhythm, and that just throws the whole thing off. And that's where I think that they're really doing Geno a disservice there, because like when you just watch the scheme and watch the plays, it's not like you're like, damn, what was Geno thinking? Or, oh, man, Geno really fucked that up. You're not saying that.
Real
really.
simple stuff, man.
Yeah, like he can just do what's asked, and that's good. That's not going to win you a Super Bowl or anything, I don't think. But when everyone else is just not functioning, I think like it's almost to the point where Pete should consider playing DK, Tyler, Noah, Will in this game, in the 3rd game against Dallas. But then at the same time, I just watched Damian Lewis get carted off the field, ankle sprain. So like it's a really bad. This is also why I don't think you should have a quarterback battle in the NFL, because you have to make these type of calls. Preseason for like college is different because there's no preseason game. You just go week 1. Like in the NFL, you have a quarterback battle. That means you need to make everything fair, play all the receivers, play all the O linemen, and you just can't do that because then you get guys carted off. They don't make any money in the preseason. I think they get like $500. Like, the hell's DK gonna do with $500, right? And I think that money's taxed. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing with that? Like, that's where we're not even really getting to see a good look at what Geno could be, or Drew, who apparently is really sick with COVID. Now, Eason, man, somebody tweeted me during the game. They said, Mike, is it just me? Or does Eason look better than Geno? I usually don't respond to stuff like that. I tweeted that dude back. I said, it's just you. Like one of the homies texted me. He was like, Bo Melton he said Aaron Fuller has 3 catches for 34 yards on 10 targets. He said these receivers aren't very good. I said, no. The guy throwing them the ball is throwing the ball into the first row. I don't know if it looked that bad on the TV copy, but there was some throws there from Jacob where I'm like, bro.
Yeah, he threw one into the. I was like, damn, man. Are you throwing it away? Or are you trying to throw it to somebody? It was really confusing. I couldn't tell.
But he had one, his last throw, I want to say, was like a goal line fade to Fuller on 4th down. That almost went into the first row. I'm like, come on, dog. Like that's not you. Like here were some of those throws where he just seemed like he just wanted to show off how strong his arm is. And maybe that's some jitters. Usually when guys are nervous, they throw it too high. But man, there was you look at some of these target numbers. Bo Melton and Aaron Fuller combined for 21 targets, and they only finished with 7 catches. And it ain't because they can't catch. They each only had one drop ball each, I think, maybe two. Unless you depends on how you want to classify Aaron's catch in the end zone. I guess technically that's a drop if it hits you in the hands, and come down with it. But like that was pretty rough out there, man. He had Eason had a play. I think it was a slant, or like a post to this Kevin Cassis dude. But that ball was like 7 yards over. Is number 86? Like 7
I
yards.
remember looking at my iPad and counting like incomplete, incomplete, incomplete. I was like, God damn, are we gonna complete a pass?
Yeah, every Jacob Eason ball was like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. It wasn't touch on any of them passes. And it was just heat.
Yeah.
Jacob said that after I watched his press conference just now on my drive home, or I listened to it. I don't say I was watching it while I was driving. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I got to put some touch on some balls. I was nodding my head like, yeah, man. Like, you're throwing lasers. When you're in the soft spot and cover two, you just throwing heaters. And like, come on, man. That was about as bad as I thought it would be when I saw Drew Lock got COVID. I was like, wow, Jacob's going to play the entire second half, and this might be rough. Not because Jacob can't throw, because Jacob probably threw more passes tonight than he has all training camp with in 11 on 11. Obviously, he throws in one-on-ones and whatever. In 11 on 11, he's probably had like 30 snaps in like 13 practices. Today, he threw 35 passes. I'm pretty sure that's more than he's thrown pretty much throughout training camp. So I just knew he wouldn't be prepared, and he was not, man. That was that's a shame we didn't get to see Drew, because this is when we needed to see what Drew would look like. And instead, we got a bazillion targets and pretty much no yard. Jacob threw it 35 times and threw for only 141 yards. That is, that's pretty brutal, man. That's this is bad. This is bad offense. This is bad offense today. I'm running out of adjectives to describe.
Yeah, it was. When I text you, I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna say on the pod at this point. Like, what stood out? I mean, there was a couple flashes of Thompson. He jumped over dude. That was exciting.
That was good.
But I'm like, damn, can we just get to the regular season at this point? Because right now it's tough, man. And I know guys are fighting for jobs, but the product wasn't good.
Yeah,
we talked about this before.
That's my other thing. Sorry to cut you up with the receivers, man. Real quick on the receivers, man. I thought one good thing out of DK not playing, Tyler not playing, Marquise not playing, D not playing is actually bad. But like for the rest of the receivers, Cody Thompson's out with a shoulder injury. Like, all right, cool. We can see what the other guys can do. And these guys acted like they're not fighting for a job. Like, guys, these balls are hitting these guys smooth. And the only person who dropped like a really tough one was Aaron Fuller. And
behind him,
where he had to jump in the air, and he just kind of came down really rough. Like, it looked like he got hurt. Honestly, on the play, that was a rough one. I still expect you to catch it, but everybody else was just dropping really catchable stuff, and it's who was dropping it. Usually I love the feel good stories of like a guy balling out in the preseason, like we saw like a Keenan Reynolds do in the past, or John Ursua or Casey Williams. Like guys who have played really well, like they're fighting for roster spots. And we just not seeing these guys acting like their spots are solidified. I really wanted some of the fringe guys to ball out, and it was hitting them smooth in the hands, man. Stuff we're not seeing in practice. See, there's not a lot of drops in practice. It's guys who are catching the ball in practice and then dropping it on the field. That's the worst type of thing for a coach, because you can't really coach that up. Like, you're catching it in practice, so I got nothing to yell at you about. You get in the game, the ball hitting you in your hands, and I got to cuss you out. That was who was dropping the ball was pretty unfortunate to watch, man. These are guys who need to be perfect. Even K Johnson muffing that punt.
Yeah, that was tough. Like, that's how you don't make the team, especially when you're undrafted too. Like, that's
you're undrafted, and they drafted 2 receivers this year.
Yeah, you gotta make those plays. Catch the punt, secure it. Those are things you just can't have happen, and that's the tough part about the NFL. One play can literally have you out the door.
Yeah, didn't Aaron Fuller muff a punt against the Steelers? I think they recovered it, but Aaron had a muff punt in week 1. Like these guys are. Larry Pete Carroll was so mad about special teams after the practice day. He was like, "Yo," or after the game, he was like, "Man, look, some things and some people are about to change."
Yeah.
No, like he made that pretty clear. Like we're about to cut some guys. If guys can't tackle and guys don't want to protect the football,
You won't play.
Need to be here. Forget playing. You just don't need to be here. Like even with the tackling situation, this is a really rough tackling day for Marquise Blair. I think he missed like 4 tackles. I don't know if they talked about it on the broadcast, but that's not a guy who should be out here missing tackles, man. Pete today was like, we need to see who is missing tackles. He's like, it ain't an epidemic. And it's just a few guys who ain't wrapping up. So we're going to see who those guys are. And if they don't tackle, we'll get guys who will tackle. And
man.
Ooh, Pete mad.
Yeah, as he should be. He has goals and expectations for this team. And when they're not doing the fundamental things, just tackling, right? There are certain things that you can recover from and work on, but tackling is such a big part of the game. If you can't do that, regardless if you're first string, second string, or third string, there's really no space for you on the team. You have to be able to tackle to play defense. If you can't tackle, you can't be on the field. Like you're not playing. That's the biggest thing. Like, okay, you might give up 6 yards, but can you make the tackle? Because that tackle could prevent a first down if he's able to catch it on the 6-yard pass and then gain 4 more yards. That's important. And if you're not doing that, Pete's going to look at the film and be like, we're going to have to let you go. We've seen this 2 straight weeks. We've seen it in practice. We've taught you how to tackle. And, for whatever reason, you haven't picked up on it. Unfortunately, we gotta make a move. We're going to waive you. We're going to cut you. And that's what it is. So it sounds harsh, but that's the reality of this game. You have to be able to make a play and make a tackle. And for the past 2 preseason games, there have been guys that have missed tackles and haven't been consistent.
Yeah, I think that is why I'm so comfortable calling this like a yucky game. Ain't because there wasn't a lot of points or big plays. Guys just weren't doing fundamental shit. Like there were 13 penalties on the Seahawks today. That's absurd.
And the Bears had 2.
Was it 3 for 38 yards. These guys weren't holding on to the ball, weren't playing disciplined football. That's what the penalties, and then weren't tackling. That's all that is. If you get beat for a touchdown or something, like anyway, just football. The other team gets pays their guys too. It ain't but $500, but the other team pays their guys too. But if you're just not doing the basics, man, that's really troubling, man. I hope Pete's in a tough spot because I know he wants to see what the young guys can do, but at the same time, week 1's coming, and I don't know what the Broncos look like. I haven't really watched or read about them, but like, unless the starters are going to come in and look like Superman on week 1, like they are liable to get embarrassed in some regards on week 1. But we'll see what happens in the 3rd preseason game.
Real quick though, I've been reading on the Broncos and Russ looks fine. 2-minute drill, 2-minute drill, cooking the defense, scoring touchdowns. I'm like, cool. So Russ he's okay.
Yeah, Russ with 10 healthy fingers is fine. NATO can confirm on that. So I put out a call for Twitter questions after the game. You guys are sickos because I put that out at about 10 p.m. and they just came flooding in.
Oh, it don't matter, man. People are, you know the drill, man. We've been doing this for years now. You know the drill.
Yeah. So there were some good questions, by the way. I appreciate you, sickos. Let's run through some of them.
All right, here we go. So this one's from Zach at ZGE Balle, Balle. I hope I'm not chopping that up, but I probably am. So Zach, I apologize. How much risk are Pete and John in if the team we saw tonight is close to who the Seahawks are during the regular season? I've always assumed that they were safe, but if Geno and Drew stink and the team wins 2 to 4 games, could they be fired, asked to resign?
I don't think even if it got real bad, I don't think Pete would get fired. I think Jody would let him like resign or something like that after the season, probably with John as well. But I don't think this product, we talked about it to open the show a little bit. I don't think the product will look to the point where they get embarrassed. Like this, they got embarrassed today. This was embarrassing game. Again, it's not like the other team had Patrick Mahomes, bro. Trevor Siemian played up. Nathan Peterman played in this game.
Oh, Nathan looked ass. I'm gonna just throw that out there.
Nathan Peterman played in this game. That's pretty rough. I do think the defense was okay in some regards. Like I think on a yards per play basis, Chicago wasn't very good. I'm looking down at the stat sheet now. It wasn't a lot of explosive plays given up. Pass rush looked decent with the guys I expect to look decent in the game. Rushing, Chicago didn't run all over them. Chicago was also bad on third down. I think it was 4 of 20 or something like that. So there was some, there's a few PBUs in there from the DBs and the Seahawks. So I don't think this product will look like that. If it does, though, not just because of the score, like if they get embarrassed in a few games, I was talking to somebody about this. You get embarrassed by the wrong team, you will look very bad if you're Pete and John. Like go get smoked by the Lions or something, or the Falcons. Like that's when it's like, or go get smoked by the Giants or the Jets. They play some teams where like losing would stink, but getting blown out would cost some people some jobs. So I think the only concern would be if they're gonna get blown out by some bad teams. But I think with a healthy Jamal Adams, healthy Quandre, healthy Jordan Brooks, DK Tyler, they should be competitive in pretty much all the games they should be competitive in. So maybe get smoked by like the Bucks in Germany or something like that. Contenders, the Rams, maybe. But other than that, I don't think John and Peter are looking at like a 2-15 season.
This one's from our boy Ryan Turner at Turns44.
What up, Ryan?
Overreaction Thursday. It was brought up during the broadcast by Louis Riddick on ESPN. What are the chances the Seahawks starting quarterback is not on the roster?
Yeah, I don't think that happens. That's just, you're asking way too much. Like some quarterback, they're still installing stuff now with guys who have been here since the spring. So you can't just ask some guy to just, even if it's Jimmy, who's been in the league for a little bit. I don't even think he's been in the league longer than Geno. You can't just ask any guy to come off the street with like a week's preparation and start. That's tough. I don't care how long you've been in the league. Honestly, Brady would probably come in here and be a lit. The timing would just take a little bit, to get used to DK or Tyler, stuff like that. I just think it would. You see it in the Pro Bowl a little bit too, where guys don't have the timing down, and those are the best guys in the league. It's because A, they're all hungover during Pro Bowl practices, and B, they don't know each other. So I think that's unrealistic. I think the percentage of that is like 5 that the starter is on the team. Like if Pete did that, that's real desperation. I think they would only do that if Geno and Drew were just stinking up the joint. And again, Drew, we haven't seen Drew much, but I don't think Geno's been stinking up the joint. I think Geno's been like, okay, he's been Geno.
He's just not getting help.
Yeah, he's not getting. It just looks like Geno. It's not like bad or good. It's just he's doing what's asked, and then stuff around him is not like super great. And yeah, it's just offense isn't like super dynamic, but they need the run game. They're missing half the damn good players on offense, so I'm not really. I don't think they're hitting the panic button on that yet. I also don't think like Jimmy G would come in here and save the day either. Like I think even if he did have the offense down, I just think that he's got some deficiencies in his game too, mostly a lack of mobility. That would probably be a little bit of an issue as well. So yeah, I don't think the 2022 starter is on another team right now.
This one's from B. Russ. This is an offensive and defensive question. So why are we not seeing significant changes on the offense and defense? Defensively, looks like the same concept, 3-4. Are they waiting for the regular season, or did they mislead us entirely? And then offensively, what about pre-snap movement? Obviously, we should avoid any and all screens. We saw that today. Unfortunately, they threw a screen to Noah Fant that just lost 3 to 4 yards. That was bad. And then jet sweeps. I saw one in the third quarter. What are we doing?
I think that, on defense, it's going to be a really vanilla scheme. I mean, it is different for what it's worth. It does look different this year. Some of the stuff that looks different is just little nuances, but really all defenses look pretty vanilla in the preseason. No one wants to give away like their blitzes or their disguises. Like there's no like real tangible benefit to putting those things on film. Like some guys you need to evaluate with certain looks, but you just rather do it in practice. where no one can see it. That's why a team like Seattle doesn't really do a lot of joint practices either. I don't think they've ever done them under Pete Carroll. So that's why on defense, it does look. Defense was never going to look super new anyway. Clint Hurd has said that. Pete Carroll has said that. They're just doing a lot of the same things with just people who fit the system a little better. That's why they got rid of their 4-3 defensive ends, brought in outside linebackers, paid all their nose tackles to make sure they have a true nose in there with Brian Monet and Al Woods. They're running a lot of the same stuff, just with different personnel, but it's all just going to be pretty bland. Offensively, they're really never really going to do anything much different. They just switched quarterbacks, but the offense has always been, at least with Shane, his plan was a little different, you could tell with Russ, but for the most part, these guys, ain't nobody going to say it, but they're basically like, hey, we're going to do what worked for like Jared Goff in 2018 when he was cooking, really cooking. We figure if they can go to the Super Bowl doing that, so can we.
Why can't we?
Yeah, and that offense wasn't like super dynamic. He took one read, he threw it to Robert Woods. Robert Woods picked up 40 yards. And then,
there's a PA boot over the middle for Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp.
Yep, and then they get to the red zone and hand it to Todd Gurley, and there you go. That was the offense, and they went to the Super Bowl. Like legitimately, that was the offense all year, and they were really good. I think Jared Goff went to the Pro Bowl. So, but even the offense is going to be vanilla as well. They're not even getting a lot of plays on offense because they can't convert any third downs. So there's that. I think it'll look more dynamic. Every offense will, though. Like you kind of have to just do the basics and do them super well in the preseason, and that's why Pete's probably so frustrated because it's like, damn, man, we ain't even doing anything complicated, and we're not moving the ball. So,
simple stick routes. Yeah. Cats is dropping passes. What are we doing, guys?
Yeah, they can throw the ball into the first row.
Yeah.
So it will look more dynamic. It's not going to look totally new. They should stop running screens. We talked about that last pod. We don't have to belabor that point anymore. I'm also not a fan of the jet sweeps right now. I don't think they're not catching anyone off guard. For real, that's when they are most effective, is when you catch the edge guy sleeping and then you have really good edge blocking. But like if you don't have that, you're just going to pick up 2 yards. And there's nobody on the team that I think really you need to hand the ball to and do that. I would like to see D. Eskridge do it, but he's hurt. Other than that, I'm not dying to see anyone get a jet sweep other than Eskridge, because I just think he's really dynamic in that way. Honestly, if you're gonna run him, you run him to like DJ Dallas. Honestly, more than any of the wideouts. Maybe Bo Melton. Bo Melton's good with the ball in his hands, but other than that, I ain't dying to see jet sweeps, and I might go pour some coffee on Shane Waldron's pants next time he calls another screen pass, dog. These screens are just...
Yeah, my whole discussion and argument last episode really backfired when I saw the screen. I was like, golly, you guys just making me sound like an idiot, man. I'm standing on the ground, standing up, rooting for you guys to run screens because you can get it done. And what do? Run a screen, loss of 3 yards. Yo.
Just stop doing them. Just stop. There's no reason to run a screen. Sorry. Don't do it.
This one is from Prime B Rory at Prime_Rory3. Why is it every year it seems like the Hawks are the most penalized team in the league? Why can't they do anything about it?
Well, the answer to that is you probably watch the Hawks the most, so you see the most of their penalties. Any Cowboys fan would tell you, nah, man, we got that crown. Cowboys are really bad with penalties. I think the Raiders usually are pretty bad too. That's just a perception thing. If you watch one team most often, you'll think that they're the best or the worst at a thing because you see them the most. Part of that is a screen game too. Like everyone watches Seahawks games that listen to us, so it looks like the Seahawks are the worst screen team ever because that's the team they're watching the most. But yeah, the penalties were bad today, but like last week they had like 2 or 3, whatever it was. So it's not that bad year to year. I think the Cowboys are way worse. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't care to look them up, but that's a perception thing more than it is actually like the Seahawks are super bad at penalties.
This is Pete's Air Monarchs, and he has a couple of them. Who do you expect won't be on the field in week 1 due to injury that we know of now? Who makes the wide receiver group? And lastly, is D. Eskridge alive?
Oh, that's messed up on D. Yes, D's alive. I understand the injuries have been frustrating. I would like to see more of him. I think he could be back next week, though. I hope he plays a lot of snaps against the Cowboys if he is back. The receiver room, my guess would be Marquise, D, Tyler, DK, Freddie. I think you can only keep 5 receivers. That'll be my guess. Which also makes the quarterback battle again pretty frustrating because they ain't throwing to none of them guys right now. Freddie is the only guy of that group that's getting targets, and he dropped one, and then the other one got batted at the line on a slant with that he probably would have caught for a first down. That was also a third down play. So I think those would be the receivers. Cody Thompson would have been an outside shot to make it, I think, but he's done for the year now. So hopefully Cody gets better. I don't even know how he hurt his shoulder, to be honest. What was the other one there?
The other one was, who do you expect will not be on the field week 1 because of injuries that we know of now?
I'd be a little worried about Kenneth Walker. When you have what do you have? Pete told me he had a procedure, which ain't a surgery, I guess. I'm using air quotes for the people listening on Spotify or whatever. Procedure, surgery, whatever the hell. That was on August 16th or whatever. That's troubling. The season starts in less than a month. So I could see a world where they're kind of careful with that, because I mean, if it's a hernia, that's tough. That could be a whole other month. So he's a guy I would imagine, without getting a diagnosis from a doctor or anything, he's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the field. Also, I'm wondering about Trey Brown as well. I would like to see Trey Brown get on the field, but doesn't seem like he's making quick progress to get back on the field, which is a shame because I would love to see him in some of these preseason games because the corner room looks competitive, but at the same time, they're playing Michael Jackson a lot. There's Jamison Houston dude a lot. I would rather see some of those snaps go to Trey to see what he can do.
How worried should we be about Charles Cross' seeming penalty addiction? And this is from Bob the Sarcastic.
Yeah, that's not addiction. Bad game with penalties. It happens. He's a rookie. If it happens again, then we worry. But right now, just chalk it up to a bad game. He was super clean and damn near perfect week 1, really sloppy week 2. That's what happens with rookies. They're not consistently as good week to week. Usually they have ebbs and flows. Let's see what happens week 3. I'm not too worried about that. And also, I gotta look at the tape, but Charles can block.
Yeah,
that's the good news. When he's not false starting, boy can block. So
he's holding his own for sure. This one is from the homie Paul Martin, P. Martin, Katy, Texas. Win-loss predictions for the Hawks after this rough preseason.
I don't think this impacts. I still think 6-11 is my fallback answer without knowing the quarterback. I think the quarterback matters a lot in that regard. But yeah, I'll probably go about 6-11. I think they have a lot of games that look like the Steelers game from last year and the Saints game. Those were games that were just dogfights, really close. Not a lot of explosive plays, and then had trouble going to win it at the end. Geno ended up fumbling against the Steelers in overtime. The game went to overtime, and the score was 23-20. The Saints game was 13-10. Neither team could move the ball very well, and that's before Jameis got hurt, Jameis Winston. So I imagine a lot of games that look like that. At that point, you just need the ball to bounce your way, or just if it doesn't bounce your way, you lose. I think, I would say 6-11. They probably beat the teams they're supposed to, hang with some teams that they should hang with, and then probably a couple blowouts here and there.
Who do we want as first pick in the draft? Young or CJ? Might as well get the debate started now. This is from Ghost.
I don't think we should get the debate started now at all. I would reject the premise of that. One, because I don't watch a ton of college football, at least not now. And just be wary of the kid who's the hotness right now, man. I feel like this time last year, who was the hot kid? This time it was the kid from Oklahoma. Didn't he end up Spencer something? Spencer Rattler or something, Riddler.
Oh, Riddler, yeah.
Yeah. He was the hot name this time last year. Boy, done fell off the planet. Maybe is he the kid who's at USC right now? I don't even know. Doesn't matter. But even then, go look at the Dolphins from that one year. They was tanking for Tua that year. Then Joe Burrow just comes out of nowhere pretty much, and then the Dolphins end up getting Tua, and then nobody wants him there. They spend half the time fawning over Deshaun Watson and getting teased because they didn't take Justin Herbert. So I think we just got to be patient. There's Cam Newton entering his season at Auburn probably was not thought of highly or thought of as being like the number one pick. Boom, he has like one of the best individual college seasons you'll probably ever see, and ends up being number one pick. So I'm weary of just like honing in on any one guy right now. At this time, you gotta let the season play out. These kids are 20, 19, 21 years old. Who knows how they're going to perform, or if they're going to be healthy, and Tua end up breaking his hip or something like that. So I am not really too invested in those rookies right now. If you really want to read about some of those guys, the homie Nate Tice at The Athletic has a breakdown of the quarterbacks from the 2023 class. I believe Dane Brugler at The Athletic does as well. If I can help you guys find those links, maybe Chris can drop them in the show description or something like that. But other than that, I'm not really looking at that. Like if you're already looking at like them having a top 10 pick, like boy, you're in for a long season. It's gonna be real long. And Chris, you did not make a prediction in the last question.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stick with 8 and 9, which is probably it was 7 and 10, but I was like, man, I'll give them 8 and 9. The defense might be that good that, I mean, it's a lot of pick sixes and a lot of game-winning touchdowns by your defense. They're good for 1. Can they do 3 or 4? I don't know if they're Baltimore, but I'm going to go 8 and 9, which is a stretch. I know, but have a little faith.
A lot of faith there, brother. That is a lot of faith. Hey, sticking with your guns. I can
Absolutely. This one is from Pokey the Unicorn. How hard is it going to be to watch every game this year?
Oof. I still enjoy watching football because I am a football nerd, and I'm glad I have adopted that because football nerds can appreciate little nuances of football, and you don't need everything to be like super splashy. Sometimes you just can appreciate a good block. Like if you notice on some of the plays, like today, Miles Adams had a sack, the defensive tackle. The first thing I did was tweet about Alton Robinson. Why? Because I watched Alton Robinson fly past the right tackle, forcing the quarterback, I think it was Trevor Siemian, to step up and into Miles Adams. And I was like, wow, that's a good pass rush, right? And it's not something that shows up in the raw stat sheet at all. It's just something I was like intrigued by. Or if you even noticed my tweet on Geno Smith's throw to Penny Hart, I didn't tweet anything about Penny Hart, not because I don't like Penny Hart. It's because I was watching Charles Cross just clear the left side, for Geno to step up, have time, and make that throw. Or one of his throws. Maybe it wasn't that one, but I ended up tweeting like Charles Cross is nice or something like that. So when you're looking at those things, or if you're just watching Kobe Bryant play the nickel spot, which I thought he was good at today, those things will be fun throughout the year, whether it's Charles or Darrell Taylor. Watching Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams will be fun. Like I said, I think these guys will be competitive. I don't think there'll be many games that look like this where they get just wrecked. I think the couple that they're in danger of are the Rams games and the Bucks game. I have to look at the rest of the schedule, but those are the ones, or maybe the Raiders as well. Like those are like the 4 that I think they're in danger of, and then one of them will be in Germany. So even if I'm out there in Germany, I don't care if they get blown out or not because I'm overseas. So I think, yeah, I'm not too worried about how it'll look. I would like them to change the rule on the alcohol in the press box. If we can get that changed, that's it. Come on, Lumenfield, you can do it, baby. We all adults in there. Nobody's gonna get hammered,
Still got a job to do.
Yeah, a couple beers here and there, we'll be all right.
This one is from In Lerma 3. Any positive takeaways from the game?
Yeah, actually there were. Again, I think Kobe Bryant is like legitimately fitting in at nickel. Like, and that's just out of nowhere. He didn't play any outside corner at all today. He did on like that goal line fade that he defended, which was also really good. Broke up a touchdown, nearly had a pick on an out route. Like there was some good Kobe plays today. Michael Jackson made a few good plays today out at corner. I think I don't know how much he'll play in regular season, but the pass rush again was good. Go watch every snap that Justin Fields played. That boy almost died back there, damn near on some of them. And no wonder he only played like 10 snaps or whatever it was. Their coach got him out of there quick. So yeah, I think there was some positives in there. Not a ton, but I do think Abe Lucas, I have to watch him again, but I thought Abe was fine in run blocking and pass protection again for the most part. I thought they were still able to block pretty well in the run game when Damian Lewis went out and Phil Haynes came in. I think Phil's a good run blocker. Charles pass protection was good. Geno made some decent throws in there. So yeah, there was a few, but not much. Yeah, that's probably about. Oh, Darwin Thompson has a Travis Homer's been running the ball really well. I will say that. I think Travis averaged like 8 yards. Travis averaged like 10 yards a carry in week 1, and then averaged like 8 today. Like, yeah, I think Travis Homer for the preseason averaged like 9 yards a pop. I don't know how much he'll run the ball in the regular season, but like if Rashad's gonna get hurt, or if Kenneth Walker is gonna be hurt for an extended time, they are gonna need Travis to run it. And so I think that is encouraging that he's looked pretty good.
I'll combine these two. These are from Jared Westby and Texas Southern Girl. What the hell happened to Pete's tackling, the Hawk tackling that is, and then how do you fix tackling issues?
Yeah, tackling is tough because you coach it up in practice, but you can't get a guy to the ground. And as Pete was kind of explaining after the game, it's like not everything is the same. Sometimes guys are meeting the guy in the hole, and you just got to form tackle. Sometimes guys are flying in from depth, and they're just trying to take a guy's head off, which is what's happening with Marquise Blair, looks like, on a few of those. I thought in game 1, Nick Bellore looked pretty rough tackling. I thought that was the standout, and Nick didn't play today. That's probably notable. And then today, I keep track of all the missed tackles, at least the best I can. And I usually put like the player, and then I put MT for missed tackle, and I underlined it. I had a lot of 27 MTs today. Like that was in the run game, in the pass game. I was pretty worried about that. Marquise also had like a helmet-to-helmet play on a tackle in the open field. I think Marquise had some good tackles. Shoot, I think he led the team in tackles today. I think he had like 8. He did. Yeah, he had 8 total tackles, 6 solo, which led the team. But I thought outside of special teams, he was the guy I was most concerned with the tackling. And I was really concerned about that because this is our first podcast after the Ugo trade. And they basically have given up on Ugo in part because of Marquise Blair, Josh Jones, and
Justin Coleman.
And Kobe Bryant playing
and
nickel.
Kobe,
They're basically like, we have no use for Ugo. Well, Ugo wasn't out there missing a bunch of tackles either. He wasn't out there like saving the world with his tackling either, but he was sound. His problem was it seemed like he always had a penalty on third down, like a defensive holding call most of the time.
Man.
Yeah, it just seemed like every game it was like they get a third down stop. I'm like, oh, holding, 28, defense, automatic first down. You're like, damn, man. So yeah, the tackling is pretty rough. On special teams, it's been pretty rough. I think the tackling by the starters was kind of okay. If you look at some of those run stops, like Uchenna had some good tackles. Darrell Taylor had some good tackles. I think the guys who are gonna play are tackling okay. That for the most part seems all right. I don't know if there's anyone in particular standing out that I think is like gonna be a big time contributor who's out there whiffing. Like I said, today I think was not a good day tackling for 27. I think when he watches the tape, he's going to want a lot of those plays back. I'd have to watch the replays to know what he's doing wrong. But I mean, for the most part, if you ain't tackling, you're probably just not wrapping up well. You're not wrapping up. You're not driving your feet. So yeah, that's a problem because that's Marquise's thing, that he can hit hard. He forced a fumble on the first play.
Yeah.
But if you notice on that one, he squared up the kickoff returner and then went low and it was a perfect textbook thing. Textbook went out the window on some of those other ones. So yeah, he's a guy I'm a little worried about. Other than that, I thought there wasn't anyone else who stood out in the tackling, which makes sense because Pete Carroll after the game was like, again, it's not a tackling epidemic. There are certain guys missing tackles. We need to figure out who those guys are and either fix it or get guys who can replace them.
Another one by Jay Westby. Did Drew Lock help himself even though he wasn't playing? Geno wasn't overwhelmingly inspiring in his play.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that he helped himself a little bit in that Pete has no choice but to start him against Dallas. Like Pete said he doesn't know what he's going to do there, and I believe him. But if I'm Pete's advisor, A, I'm asking for a lot of money. B, I'm going to tell him, dog, you got to play number 2. Or yeah, what number is Drew? Yeah, Drew's number 2.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he used to be 3 in Denver, I think. He's like, yeah, I'd be like, dog, you got to play number 2. Just see what he play him the whole game. If like, give him 60, 70 plays with the starters. See what he can do. You have to. You owe it to yourself. Like, I think Geno is probably the better quarterback. It's probably the better bet. I literally bet on him. But independent of the bet Chris and I have, I would tell Pete, you got to play number 2. You just
give him a shot.
You got to give him a shot. You got to give him a lot of plays too. I would like do it. At least give him 50 plays. Like give him 50.
Yeah, I would expect next Friday for Drew to be out there till the third quarter. That's kind of my thought process. That way, you saw Geno for 2 quarters. Drew Lock unfortunately got COVID, missed this Thursday's game. Now you get a chance to see him against the Dallas Cowboys for 3 quarters, and then you evaluate and you pick a guy who you're gonna roll with for Week 1 against Denver.
Yeah,
Drew, please.
I think that was Chris praying to the football gods that Pete picks Drew. Yeah, because Geno's played 11 drives and has played, I think, 4 quarters now. I would like to see Drew get 4 quarters and at least 11 drives. I think it might be 12 drives. So I want the number there to be split, and then I want him to get some reps with the ones. That includes, I want him to get reps with Austin Blythe, more reps with Charles Cross, Abe Lucas, Jake Curran. Obviously can't get any with D-Lou, but get some with Gabe Jackson. So yeah, I think Drew, I don't know if he helped himself. That's probably not the word, but he probably made it more urgent for Pete Carroll to start him. Like this performance made it so that Pete has no choice. I think like he has a choice, but like he has no choice, if that makes sense. He has to see what he has in Drew, because if he's not gonna do that, then there's no point in playing Drew at all. If that's the case, if you're just like he's not gonna catch Geno, then okay, just play Geno against Dallas and then make sure he's got the reps with the ones and then throw him out there versus them.
Last one, High Come Down by Prince Kofi is a cool song. Who chose it for the theme music? You or me?
Did I pick that? I can't remember.
I think you did, because you had a tie, because we wanted to stay local. I know that part. Mm-hmm. You're like, we should stay local with music, and I was like, okay, bet. And yeah, I'm 99% sure you were like, yeah, I think we got a song, and it was High Come Down.
Yeah, okay. That's,
by the way, that was from Hawks Fan 206. So shout out to you. Yeah, that we do love that song. We love it. It works.
Shout out to the homie David. I think his stage name is Kofi Mac or Prince Kofi. Yeah, I think it's
Prince Kofi.
Prince Kofi. Yeah, Kofi. Yeah, shout out to David Osai. Went to Wazoo with me and Chris. Yeah, man, love that song. I love the flip of the Evelyn King. What's the original? Love Come Down.
Love, yeah.
Cause that jams too. And then if you hear how David flipped it, man, it's that's a good record, man. So yeah, I appreciate everyone who tweets us and says, "What's our song?" I love tagging David. That makes his day, man. When people are searching his music, it's like an old song from now. We've had that for a few years, but
we've had it for it's been a minute.
I just see no reason to change it unless David makes another banger or someone else makes a banger that we really feel like fits our podcast vibe here. So yeah, shout out to who's he said Hawk 206.
Yep.
That acts that. Yeah, man. That's appreciate all you guys actually. I love that song. I love hearing our intro and just bopping to that as it comes on.
Well, there you have it. Man, it's the first time we did Twitter questions right after a game in a while. So get used to it because we're getting back into the swing of things. We'll have another pod coming out next week as Seahawks finish off the preseason, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Hopefully we'll see more positive things. Maybe Drew Lock will play up to 3 quarters. We'll get a feel for this quarterback battle. But other than that, Mike, is there anything you want to add before we shake?
Yes, again, I'm going to repeat. Live podcast details are coming. I mean, live where you guys can attend, not just like live streamed on YouTube or something like that, or Twitch. Live where you guys can attend. The details are coming. They're on the way. We are working on it. Once we have it finalized, we'll send it out to the masses. We're just putting that in your guys' ear now. So looking forward to that. Again, sometime before the start of the season, before you guys tune out, because the team gets bad. So yes. Very excited about that. We'll announce details as soon as we can. Be on the lookout for that. Keep bugging us about it. Comment on it if you're interested. Leave some comments in the YouTube channel, whatever. Tweet us, DM, whatever. If you're interested in attending a live podcast, we're very excited about trying that out for the first time. Other than that, Chris is correct. We will be back after the Dallas game next Friday. Hope to see you sickos back there with us. Try to record after that as well. Until then, we're out.